Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of Pan the Organizer. Today, I'm going to show you how to apply a ceramic coating. So all the steps from the beginning to the end. We have a system, so it is very simple to do, and they're all clean by Pan the Organizer products, but this applies regardless of which brand of products you decide to use. It's going to be the same basic steps, right? So you're going to understand all the steps that are involved in this so you can have a better comprehension of why we're doing each step, and that way you'll feel confident to apply the coatings, because as you guys know, the ceramic coatings, so typically they're in glass bottles like this. This happens to be the Clean by Pan the Organizer 8-year coating. So these are semi-permanent forms of paint protection, meaning they last for years compared to a wax, which lasts a few months, or a traditional paint sealant, again, a few months of durability at best. Ceramic coatings have better resistance to chemicals. They have UV protection. They add gloss. They add slickness, hydrophobic properties, right? That water beading and the water sheeting. They have self-cleaning properties, making the vehicle much easier to clean. So it's just an enjoyable experience. So what products are we using today? And you're going to see just how simple they are. First of all, come on over here. We're going to be using the Clean by Pan the Organizer shampoo. So once you dilute this in your bucket, this is a pH neutral shampoo. So basically inside your bucket, it's a 256:1 dilution ratio, which means half an ounce for every gallon of water. Great lubrication. You can work in direct sunlight with this, no problem. It rinses off freely. It doesn't leave any residue. And if you need to bump up the power of cleaning, you can also use the Clean by Pan the Organizer Decon shampoo. That's a higher alkaline. So the vehicle we have today is my father's vehicle. So it's a Subaru Forester. I'm going to do this whole thing because he's done so much for me in my life that I want to give back, and that's one way is to take care of his vehicle. Next, once the cleaning of the vehicle is done, we're going to start with a pre-wash, of course, because you can use this shampoo in a foam cannon as well. So inside here, we recommend a 1 to 10 dilution ratio. So after we're done pre-cleaning and then cleaning the vehicle, we're going to move to the decontamination steps. So it's very important to decontaminate both chemically and mechanically. So for the chemical decon, we're using the Clean by Pan the Organizer Iron Remover. This one here is in final production, so it's the final formula. We just don't have the final labels yet, but by the time this video goes out, it'll likely be available with the correct label. So the iron remover will also, I can use this one as a clay lubricant. So we're going to combine it with the Clean by Pan the Organizer clay towel, a synthetic perforated decontamination towel. So this is an ultra fine grade. It doesn't contain any abrasives, so will not mar the surface, but it helps to pluck out all the rest of the contamination that the iron remover doesn't remove. So we're going to combine both steps into one. After we're done that, we're going to polish the surface. So we have the Clean by Pan the Organizer spray polish. Very, very easy to use, and you can use this as a compound if you pair it with a cutting pad like the Clean by Pan the Organizer wool cutting pad, or you can use it as a polish if you combine it with something like the Clean by Pan the Organizer blue polishing foam pad. It's going to, of course, remove the defects on the paint, remove the oxidation, the swirls, the scratches. Also, we're going to improve clarity and gloss, because the biggest increase in perceivable or measurable gloss is always through paint correction. So I have many tutorials on my channel, by the way, if you want to learn how to do that, but it's pretty simple, especially with tools we have nowadays, dual action polishers like the Clean by Pan the Organizer 15mm dual action polisher, 1100 watt motor, and this doesn't break the bank. It's only 150 USD. So by the way, I'll leave the links to all the tools, products, and equipment in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So why do we polish? Is it necessary? So technically, no, but if you have a previous protection on your vehicle, whether it's a wax, a sealant, a ceramic-based protection, the only way, again, to ensure 100% removal of that is by machine polishing, because even the best decon shampoos can only start the breaking down process of the old protection, but they don't fully remove it. And to apply a ceramic coating, they need to bond directly to a virgin clear coat. So the way, again, to ensure that is at least a one-step polish, which we're going to do today, because the paint is in good condition. But again, we want to make sure that it's fully deep cleaned and that we remove any previous protection. So we're going to be using the Clean by Pan the Organizer blue foam polishing pad for a one-step polish. If your vehicle has a lot of defects, swirls, and scratches, you're going to want to start with a cutting disc first, and you can use the same spray polish, and then you follow up with the polishing step with that same spray polish. So it's a very simple system to use. Once you're done with the polishing, you move on to the panel prep spray. We have the Clean by Pan the Organizer panel prep spray. So technically, a lot of people just use IPA, right? Isopropyl alcohol. That alone isn't enough to fully pull out all the oils that are from the polishing and the residue. So this one here also has solvents and surfactants. So it's a three-part system. It works super well, tons of lubrication. It's really going to help to pull out all the polishing oils oils and residue and leave you with a squeaky clean ceramic coating. And of course, last but not least, we're going to be applying the 8-year ceramic coating Clean by Pan, the organizer. We also have the 3-year that I applied on my girlfriend's car. I have videos on that with updates as well. But this one here is the flagship, the crown jewel of my collection, right, of the Clean by Pan, the organizer products. It's a very easy coating to apply, as you're going to see later in the demo. But also it's just a 1-layer system. So done are the days with the 2, 3, 4 layers needed. Also, no toppers are required for maintenance, just regular maintenance, washing your vehicle regularly, and also every now and then decon if you need to, iron remover, those kinds of things. You can apply a topper if you want to boost gloss and slickness further, but it's not necessary. And also this is great not only for DIYs, but pros as well, because it's only 1 hour of curing, which means when you're done applying this, an hour later, you can drive off in the elements, even if it's raining, and there's no problem. You have a full 7 days before it's chemically cured, so still wait 7 days before you use other chemicals on there. And we're also going to be applying at the end for a nice finish touch, the Clean by Pan, the organizer tire dressing. This one here has many weeks of durability. It also adds a nice hydrophobic layer to help repel dust and dirt and just all that goodness. Okay guys, so the first order of business, we're going to do the pre-wash stage. So what is a pre-wash? So it's the first step before you do the contact wash to remove the loose dirt and debris that's on the surface. And for that, we're using a foam cannon. You can also use a foam gun if you only have a garden hose, but obviously you're gonna get better performance if you have a pressure washer and a foam cannon. So we're using the Clean by Pan, the organizer shampoo, diluted 1 to 10. So in here, I have 30 ounces of water and 3 ounces of the shampoo itself for that 1 to 10 dilution ratio. So the pre-wash, you're adding lubrication on the surface. You are starting to kind of break down or emulsify and lift the loose dirt and debris so you can rinse that off. So that way, when it's time for the contact wash, you're minimizing the chances of scratching and swirling the paint. So it's all about safe washing procedures, right? So in this foam cannon, once again, you have water. You can use warm or cold water. It doesn't matter. In this case, we're using just cold water. You're going to attach it to your pressure washer setup. So what we're doing basically, we're blanketing the vehicle with snow foam. By the way, I pre-cleaned the wheels and tires. I always start with that first. It has nothing to do with this video, so I just wanted to let you guys know that's what I do first, right? So you clean the wheels, clean the tires. I would leave the paintwork dry because the snow foam clings better onto the surface. Can you do all these steps outside? Yes, as long as you work in the shade on a cool surface, never in direct sunlight. In detailing, that's a big no-no, so try to control that as much as possible. Pick a day where there's overcast weather, for example. That usually helps a lot. So what you're immediately going to notice, guys, what I like about this one, it has long clinging time. So the Clean by Pan, the organizer shampoo, not only has good degreasing capabilities, but it clings to that surface and it just works super well. So we're already starting to lift and encapsulate that loose dirt and debris dripping to the ground. So this is the kind of consistency that you want. I could have went even for a little runnier. That's totally fine. It's up to you to decide what kind of consistency you prefer. So just add a little more or a little less of the shampoo as you guys want in the foam cannon. So we're going to let that dwell. We're going to come back to rinse off. All right, guys, so it's been a few minutes now. Typically, you can leave this 3, 4, 5 minutes. It's getting to a point right now where we're ready to rinse off. You can rinse from bottom to top, top to bottom, or top to bottom as you want. Do whatever works for you. So we're going to rinse top to bottom. Basically, this pre-wash, again, removes like 80 to 90% of that loose dirt, that grit, right? So when we're going to do the contact wash afterwards, you have less chances of marring the paint. All right, so now quick refoaming of the vehicle and then the contact wash. By the way, guys, if you look here in the bucket, as I said, I have 4 gallons of water or 15 liters of water and 2 ounces of the Clean by Pan, the organizer shampoo. That's 60 milliliters. You mix that up, you suds it up. I have a microfiber wash mitt, so we're good to do the contact wash. So this is what we call the foam rinse, foam wash method. You're gonna hear that sometimes on YouTube channels. So that's what it is, right? Pre-wash, that first foam, you rinse off for that loose grit and debris to be removed. You foam again for lubrication, and then you do the contact wash and you rinse again. So as you can see, I still have some solution left. So one full container was able to foam this type of vehicle twice. In the bucket, it's important to have what we call a grit guard. So that's a filter in the bottom of the bucket that's going to keep all the dirt and debris, all that loose particles, in the bottom and not back into your solution. Now, there's many ways to wash a vehicle. You can have the 2-bucket wash method. Right here, if you look, you can have the 2-bucket system. So one with the clean rinse water, one with the wash solution. So you can dip into the clean wash solution, wash your car, rinse, and then dip again. Or you can use a 1-bucket setup with multiple mitts. It's as you guys want, as long as you're using common sense and, well, safe procedures, safe methods, whatever that may be. But keep in mind, when you're doing an effective pre-wash like we did here, the vehicle is already pretty clean, so the chances that you're marring or scratching are little to none. So back in the days, a lot of people weren't doing effective pre-washes, and that's why they had to use multiple buckets. But nowadays, 1 bucket is more than enough. So we have lubrication on the surface already, and we have, of course, the shampoo. Always work from top to bottom, right? Because the lower parts of the vehicle are traditionally the dirtiest. So you want to wash your car from top to bottom. I like to use just straight line motions, right? Keep in mind that you're not applying much weight on the mitt. Let the mitt do its thing. And I like to do it in the same way that the wind would blow on the vehicle. So straight lines. Again, if you avoid circular motions, you're avoiding to do all that marring on the surface, those love marks when you're washing or drying the vehicle. So here, because we have all that lubrication on the surface, it works extremely well. The scent is absolutely amazing. So go through the entire vehicle diligently, but I'm for the purposes of the demo here. So we did this first portion. I like to cut it with a second portion and keep the lowest for the end. So you take your wash mitt, there's that grit guard in the bottom. You can rub your mitt on it, reload your mitt, and then do this kind of midsection. So we're not too worried, again, of scratching and marring because we are going to machine polish. Keep in mind that. But we're trying to be as safe as possible. But it's important to do a thorough job with the wash, right? You can flip your mitt to the other clean side. So I have many tutorials on my channel on how to wash a vehicle, by the way. So if you guys want to check those out. So there you go. And then we dunk again. And again, you can have multiple mitts. You can use wash pads. You can use microfiber towels, whatever suits your fancy, right? So now the bottom portions are left for the end. And that's how you'd wash your vehicle too for a maintenance type cleaning, right? So always top to bottom. There you go. Wheel arches. And now we rinse. All right, guys, so at this point, the vehicle is entirely washed. Of course, it's clean. And now while it's still wet, we're going to take advantage of this and we're going to do the decontamination steps. So this is going to be done 2 different ways. There's chemical decontamination with an iron remover. So if you want to do the steps separately, I would start with the iron remover. This removes brake dust, rail dust, industrial fallout. So this product here smells like rotten eggs. And that's because of the TGA, one of the active ingredients that's inside there. When it reacts, it goes from transparent or clear to a purple red tint. We call that bleeding, to show that there's a reaction with the metal particles or the brake dust that's on the surface, and that helps to kind of solubilize the particles, making the jagged edges of that brake dust. They oxidize thanks to this chemical reaction. They become rounder, and hence you can flush them off the surface. And then we also have the mechanical decontamination. So that's traditionally done with a clay bar, but clay bars are abrasives. So they can technically mar the surface. That's why we always follow up with a polishing step afterwards. But nowadays you have access to ultra fine grade, non-abrasive, synthetic perforated decontamination towels like this. This is the Clean by Pan clay towel. You can see the perforations. So that synthetic clay media is on top of a microfiber lining. And what this does, basically, it acts as an absorbent for the lubrication. And for lubrication, you can use soapy water. So the Clean by Pan, the organizer shampoo, if you remember, we had that in the bucket. So we're going to dunk this in there for that lubrication. You can also make a dedicated clay lube with the Clean by Pan shampoo shampoo. So half an ounce of the shampoo in a 32-ounce spray bottle, and you make your own clay lubricant if you want to do that. But today we're doing something special. Not all iron removers can be used as clay lubricants with a clay towel, because you need some that are free of solvents. You don't want to degrade that synthetic material on the towel. But in the case of the Clean by Pan iron remover, you can use this as an clay lubricant. So what we're going to do, we're going to dunk this, and not all clay media can be used with iron removers as well, right? So it goes both ways. So at least in this case, you know that with the Clean by Pan towel and the Clean by Pan iron remover, you can use clay lubricant and the clay towel, so you're doing both things at once. And because the iron removers, they're very expensive chemicals, typically some of the most expensive ones, you can use the iron remover separately and spray the entire vehicle, let it dwell a few minutes, then rinse. But in this case, because we're combining both, we're gonna be using a lot less. So what you're doing is one spray of the iron remover in your towel, one spray on the section that you're working with. You apply the towel where you sprayed, and here, if you come in closer, listen to this. I'm gonna try and hear it. Can you hear that? So all that grit, well, this is the contamination that's on there. So when you're running your fingers on the contamination, like here, look at that. Can you hear that? So that sandpaper-like texture, that tells you that there's contamination on the surface. That comes from overspray, from fallout, from debris that get embedded into the clear coat over time. So what we're doing when we're claying, and you can see the surfactants are also adding as lubrication on that surface. You can reload every now and then, one spray on the surface, one spray on the towel. So let the towel and the chemical do the job. You're not pushing down too hardly. There's no need for that. So let the chemicals and products do the work for you. And then you get to a point where now it's only gliding. So look at that. You see the difference? So if I'm doing it here, this is like sandpaper. And then if I'm doing it here, big difference. And if I'm running my fingers on there, look at that. See, this is ultra smooth. And here, that's that sand. So you're gonna do the entire vehicle like this. You can even do your glass. Glass is actually even harder than clear coat, so there's no worries. So again, reload every now and then, one spray on the towel and one spray on the surface, go to town, back and forth motion, left and right, up and down, that cross hatching, right? And you're going to decontaminate that surface, which is also important before you polish. Before attempting to do machine polishing, it's always best practices to do the mechanical and chemical decon, because you're removing the particles. Because imagine if you're letting all that contamination there, well, when you're driving all of that with the pad that's rotating, you're creating even more scratching and marring. So always decon the vehicle before attempting to machine polish. So once you're done with this, you're going to do the entire vehicle right, rinse it off, then dry the vehicle, and we're going to do the machine polishing. Okay guys, so now the vehicle has been fully washed, decontaminated, and is now rinsed, fully dried off. What we're going to do is paint correction. Now you have typically two big options that you can do. So either a two-step paint correction. So if you have a lot of defects, swirls, scratches, heavy oxidation, I recommend that you do a two-step, meaning you do a cutting stage, compound with a cutting disc, and then you finish with a polishing stage, so a polish with a polishing pad. Or in the case of this vehicle, there's not too many defects, so we're going to do a one-step polish. To do so, we have a very simple setup over at Clean by Pan, the organizer, to remove any guesswork, because usually you have to do test spots to figure out what's the best pad and polish and compound combination depending on the type of paint, level of defect removal that you want, all that kind of stuff. So it's a very simple setup. Even DIYers can do this at home. There is no worries to be had today with safe machines like this one. The Clean by Pan, the organizer, dual action polisher, 15 millimeter, comes with a 5 millimeter backing plate, 1100 watt motor. We have, by the way, reviews on all the individual products if you want to do deeper dives. But the pad we're using today is the Clean by Pan blue foam polishing pad. So this is a one-step pad because, again, the vehicle is fairly in good condition. So all we do is to clarify, increase the gloss, the clarity, the depth, and all that kind of stuff, and remove some light swirls and scratches. On the rear bumper, there were some deep scratches that happened in an accident in a parking lot. So I'll have a separate video on that, a two-step paint correction. You're going to see how simple it is. So if you're doing a two-step, we also have a wool cutting pad in the Clean by Pad lineup. All my pads are custom done for me by Buff & Shine, fantastic maker, top-tier maker of pads. So if you want to do a two-step there, we also have have a white jeweling foam waffle pad if you want to further refine at the end. But today we're doing a one-step. This is a killer of a pad, and we're pairing that with the Clean by Pan, the Organizer Spray Polish. This can be used as a compound if you pair it with the cutting pad, or as a polish if you pair it with a polishing pad. So it removes all the guesswork. All you need is 2 sprays to prime, and then from then on, for every section or every new pass, 1 or 2 sprays to replenish the pad itself. It cuts very quickly, finishes down nicely. You don't need to tape the vehicle with this because it won't stain the plastic trim. And actually you can polish plastic trim with this. So if you had faded, oxidized, white, chalky-like appearance trim, you can polish this, you can polish glass, whatever you want. It works super well. So to use, first of all, always shake your chemicals. It smells amazing too, by the way. So we're going to put the polisher on low speed, speed number 1 or 2. You're gonna spin the pad, and while it's spinning, 2 sprays on the pad to prime it. And that's all you need, guys. So we're going to spread on the surface at speed number 1, so low speed to spread, and then we're going to correct or do the polishing at speed number 5. So let's go ahead, put the cord over your shoulder. This is an inexpensive polisher, by the way. You don't have to spend $500, $600, $700 for a machine polisher. 150 USD gets you this machine. Let the weight of the machine do the work. Let the pad, the polishing compound, and the machine, don't push down on it too much. You're gonna make the machine, whatever machine you use, if you're pushing too hard, you run the risk of stalling, creating overheating. You don't want that. So light pressure, just balance that. Go to town. We're gonna do 1 pass left to right, 1 pass up and down. We're going to wipe off, and this wipes off so easily. And then we're going to do the panel prep spray to remove the polishing oils and residue and have a squeaky clean paint to apply the coating on. So let me show you what this would look like. So we're spreading the product now, speed number 1. So try to work in small sections, 2 by 2 like this, unless you know what you're doing and you can work bigger panels, which is fine. Try to avoid doing paint correction and applying coatings in direct sunlight. That's a big no-no. So work on the shade in a cool surface, because heat is the enemy of paint correction. You don't want the thing drying up on you too quickly, right? So now we're gonna bump this up to speed number 5 and do the correction. So again, 2 passes, 1 left and right and 1 up and down. All right, let's take our microfiber towel. We're gonna wipe the polish off. And I'm already smiling because I can see the immediate difference with the section that we did not do. I'm gonna show you that in just a few seconds. So you're gonna wipe that polish. I can see the increase in depth and reflection. This is silky smooth now. So next up, we take the Clean by Pan, the Organizer Panel Prep Spray. This has IPA inside it for evaporation, also solvents and VOC compliant surfactants. So VOC compliant solvents, sorry, and surfactants in there. So spray on your towel, wipe on the surface. So this is really going to help pull all the polishing oils and residue, and you can see the actual level of paint correction that you're getting. So there we go. Let's observe the results now with the light. And what we can see is pure perfection. Let me take that from my dad's hands so I can show you. So look at that. You see all that gloss, that pop, the metallic flake that is there. It removed the light water spotting or the etching that was on there. Because if we look at here, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me remove the light. You see that? Yeah. Look at all those blotches and blemishes. This is what the paint was looking like. We had a few swirls and scratches. I don't know if the camera picks this up well. Yeah, we can see the swirls, and it's a bit hazy. Look at all that where the light is flashing. You can see that, right? And all the water spotting. Look at how disgusting that looks. And now we're back here. None of that haziness, just some nice clarity. Look at the definition of the light now. It's round. We're getting tons of pop. Look at that metal flake. So one step, 2 passes, and that's all. So we're going to do the rest of the vehicle itself. So this is what paint correction does, guys. What you're doing basically is you're removing a layer of the clear coat. So a very fine layer, especially this. We only did a polishing step. You're removing little to nothing, but you're still making that paint flatter and truer. So what that means is that you're getting better light reflection bouncing off. So you're getting that increase in depth and gloss, that pop. And paint correction is not only the best way to increase gloss, way more than any ceramic coating, wax, or paint sealant can do. So paint correction is the biggest way to get measurable increases in gloss, but it also mechanically ensures 100% removal of any previous protection that might still be on the paint. So if you had a wax, a sealant, or ceramic coating, using a stripping shampoo alone will not fully remove those. It can only start the breaking down process of your previous protection. But again, the only way to ensure 100% removal is by paint correction, the abrasion, and at the end, using the panel prep spray to remove polishing oils and residue. This is how you get, see here, if you look at my glove, this is squeaky and grabby. This is not sliding anymore. This is how I know the paint now is fully prepped. We have a virgin clear coat to work with, and we are ready to apply the ceramic coating. So now that we have bare clear coat, we're going to ensure a proper bond, and that's how you get the maximum performance and durability from your ceramic coating. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to continue polishing the entire vehicle. We're going to come back and I'm going to show you how we're going to apply the ceramic coating itself. All right, guys, now it's the time to apply the actual ceramic coating. So this here is the Clean by Pan 8-year ceramic coating. Now, will the coating actually last 8 years, regardless of which coating brand, guys? See this more as an indication of durability, one compared to the other within the same line, right? So if you see a 3-year coating in my lineup and an 8-year, the 8-year obviously is going to last longer. Now, there are variables and different factors that change durability depending on your conditions, right? So a vehicle that is well maintained, that is garage kept, only weekend driven, and low mileage in a year will see a ceramic coating much likely reach the maximum durability claims compared to one that's daily driven, sits outside in the elements all day, is in harsh conditions like here in Canada where we live with our crazy winters and the road salts. If you neglect your vehicle, it's not washed often. All those are factors that impact your coating. Now, if you do at least regular washing, and if you have other coatings, you can add a topper every 2 to 3 months to boost gloss and slickness. But with the Clean by Pan, not only is it easy to apply, no toppers are actually needed. Just keep your car clean, wash it every now and then. I recommend at least once a month. I like to wash my car twice weekly because it's a passion, but you guys decide what regimen is best for you. And when needed, you can use an iron remover. You can use the clay towel, by the way, on the coating. If you use the Clean by Pan, the organizer clay towel, it's non-abrasive, synthetic perforated decon towel, so will not mar the coating. So if you use it with proper lubrication, like the shampoo, half an ounce in a 32-ounce spray bottle, use it as a clay lube, or the Clean by Pan rinseless wash, or whatever lube you want. As long as you use proper lubrication, you will not mar the surface. So proper maintenance is all you need. And now to apply this, first of all, always shake your chemicals. The coating itself, if unopened, it's good for 1 year if kept in stable conditions and not frozen. And once you open it, store it in a freezer afterwards, and you can keep it up to 6 months and reuse it. One bottle like this, a 30 ml bottle, will coat 2 average sized cars. You can do the paint, the glass, the wheels, the plastic trim. This is a multi-surface coating. Of course, it performs best on the paint. That's its main thing, but the gloss, the slickness, the hydrophobic properties, the resistance to chemicals. I have many videos on my channel showing how powerful this is. It is insane. Only 1 layer required. You're going to see how simple this is to apply. And when you're done, only an hour of curing. So you keep it without any exposure to water or rain for an hour, and then you can drive off in the elements, and it's that easy. Of course, we have instructions supplied in the box. Make sure to read. Never apply ceramic coatings, by the way, in temperatures below 50 Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. Ideally, you want to be as close as possible to 20 degrees Celsius or 68 Fahrenheit. That's the sweet spot. 45 to 50% humidity, somewhere in that range. If you work in a more humid or hotter environment, the flashing time is a lot quicker. If you work in a colder environment, well, the flashing time is a lot longer. So keep that in mind. There's different factors, but the most important thing with this coating, when you're applying it, leave it on the surface for 1 to 2 minutes. Before that, because it's quick to react, you're probably going to notice some rainbowing, right? So that color change on the surface, we like to say an oil slick on water appearance. You're going to notice that. That's the visual cue, right? But still, even if you see it after 30 seconds, don't start wiping right away with this coating. Wait 1 to 2 minutes. It's very forgiving, by the way. You can leave it on the surface for 3, 4, 5 minutes even, and it's so it'd still be easy to wipe. And we're going to do a 2-towel wipe method. So the first towel to level the coating, short nap and pearl weave, and the second plush towel to do the final buffing. So inside the box, you get the instructions, you get the coating, and you also get a microfiber applicator with, if you hear that, there's a plastic saver liner inside there so the coating doesn't seep through. It stays on the surface so you're wasting less product. So you shook your bottle, cracking open a fresh bottle here. You're going to see this is a very thick coating because it's a very thick film build, so you have to be very deliberate when pouring. Don't necessarily count the drops. Don't overthink the moment because you're going to see a little goes a long way. So to prime the pad, I'm really dousing this all over. Then you can butterfly this to spread it out, add a few more drops, and then we're going to start applying. The way I like to do, you can use circular motion if you want, as long as you ensure proper and even coverage. I like to do straight line technique, right? So up and down and left and right. And when you feel that it starts to be draggy a bit, just reload some on the applicator. It's that easy. Now, I can see it's going to be hard to pick up on camera, but if you give me the camera 2 seconds, let me try to show you the oil slick on water appearance. Again, I'm not sure how good this is going to translate. You can see that if you look at the light a little bit, you see that rainbowing that's going on? So that is the color change, but you're still waiting. You're not wiping right away. We want it to sit on the surface for 1 to 2 minutes. So I'm gonna reload with more drops on the pad here. So again, with any ceramic coating, you want to be very diligent. So the big amount of work is actually the prep beforehand. Applying the coating, this is the easiest part, guys. So now we're going to cross hatch. So again, you can apply this on the paint, on the lights, on the glass, on your wheels, on plastic trim, pretty much all the exterior surfaces, but it's really dedicated for paint. This is where you're going to get the most performance out of it. And as you can tell, I'm in no rush because it is very forgiving. It gives you a long working time. So gone are the days where we needed to be scared with flashing times. And sorry, there's a mosquito that found its way inside here when we opened the doors to bring the vehicle in. So I'm reloading now the pad. And by the time we're done with a section, if you're unsure, you can work in smaller 2x2 sections. But here I have the freedom to do the entire hood. I'm working at 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius, so I'm in perfect conditions. I can even actually do pretty much half of this vehicle and then start wiping because it's pretty quick to apply. And as you're going to notice, it is very easy to wipe off. So regardless of which coating you have, some have the rainbowing appearance like this one, so that oil slick on water look, that color change on the surface, and some do what we call sweating. So some little droplets that appear on the surface. So different mechanisms, different carrier solvents that are in the coating, different formulas. What's important is you must follow the instructions of the specific ceramic coating that you are using. So let me show you this from this angle. Maybe you can see a little more. You see that? Yeah, we can tell very easily now as I'm moving back and forth. You see that color change? That's the oil slick on water appearance. So that kind of tells you that we're almost getting ready. So on this side now, it's been about 1 to 2 minutes. Once again, make sure you follow the instructions because each coating might be different. Some require to wipe immediately, some you leave for 30 seconds. This, in this case of the clean by Pan the Organizer 3-year or 8-year coatings, 1 to 2 minutes minimum on the surface, and then you start wiping. So we're not buffing the coating, right? We're leveling. We're basically removing the excess transfer solution. We're making sure that we're spreading the product and we're getting even coverage. And then we come with a second towel just as an insurance wipe to pick up any remaining residue. It's important to inspect your work, so have an inspection light ready when you're done removing the coating because you don't want any leftover that could potentially do a high spot, right? High spot is a darkened leftover coating that once it hardens, the only way to remove that is machine polishing. But if you're diligent, you inspect your work, no problem. If you did the entire vehicle within an hour, let's say if you spot a high spot, what do you do with it? Don't panic. Just take your pad, reload a bit of coating. You're going to apply on that high spot and don't wait in this case, immediately wipe off and that should take care of the high spot. But it is very, very hard to do with this one because it's so easy. I mean, it's hard to get it wrong with the clean by pan coating because it's so easy to apply. So it's been well over 2 minutes at this point, and now we're wiping off. So when you're wiping or leveling with the first towel, short nap, pearl weave in this case, you're going to notice that it should be very slick and easy. If you feel that you're pushing the coating around or you're dragging it, you didn't leave it long enough. So just wait a little longer, 3-4 minutes, no problem. So you're going to take your towel, and then as you can see here, this is a breeze. So the technology has evolved so much now that, first of all, you don't need 50,000 layers of a ceramic coating. You don't need to be doing this for hours on end. So a 1-layer system, and this is a breeze to remove. Look at that. I'm not struggling. I'm not fighting. I'm just letting the towel do its thing. You're going to notice right away, this feels slick to the touch. It is pretty awesome. But as the days go by, it's going to get slicker and slicker. So now that we did the first pass, we take our second towel. This is a plusher, thicker weave type towel. So anywhere from, let's say, 300 GSM to 500 or 600, whatever plushness you guys like. This basically picks up with those little microfiber fingers any remaining coating that might be there. So let's scoot over so I can do the second half here. So again, the same principle applies. You're going to need a few towels to do a vehicle, right? So typically for a vehicle this size, I like to use 3 or 4 microfiber towels for the leveling portion, and another 3 or 4 for the buffing. And when you're done applying the coatings and doing the leveling and buffing with the towels, throw the towels and the applicator in the garbage. Do not reuse them unless you want to recycle, wash them, and use them for engine bay detailing or something like that. But do not reuse them on your paint, because there's shards that create crystals in there, and they can do some marring and damage on the paint. So, yep, you're going to sacrifice a few towels, but this is a job you do once and it lasts for years. Do it once, do it right, and just discard the towels and the applicator once you're done. And look at that. So this is just, it's going to make you smile. You're also going to notice as the days go by, the slickness increases, the gloss continues to increase after 7 days as well, and the hydrophobic properties. So the next time that you wash your vehicle, guys, you're going to see the super tight, round water beading and the quick shedding of the water. You can blow dry your vehicle using a car dryer or a leaf blower when you're done washing it. So it's a touchless way of drying the vehicle, and it's going to be so much easier to clean. So you're getting all the benefits. So now we're going to take a inspection light, and we're going to go over and see if there are any spots that we forgot. So I'm going over this, and of course, take your time, do it well. People often ask me, by the way, can you apply a ceramic coating outside? As long as it's not sunny, never ever apply a ceramic coating in direct sunlight. Always work in the shade on a cool surface, and just be mindful of what you're doing. And obviously, if it's too dusty or windy, don't do that, because you're going to be wiping dust all over, right? So make sure it's an overcast day if you're working outside, no problem. And then as we can see, there are no high spots left. And that's pretty much it. So all I'd have to do now is continue coating the rest of the vehicle. And again, you can do the lights, the glass, the plastic trim, the paintwork, the wheels, the whole 9 yards. Look at that. I wish you guys could see this and touch this. So again, slickness is very, very good, and it's just going to continue increasing as we go. So shine the light on me. I have to give some directions to my dad because he's not used to filming me. So yeah, we're applying the coating pretty much on all the exterior surfaces except for the glass. I have something special for many more videos to come, but we're going to do the entire paintwork and the lights and all that good stuff. And we're going to come back to show the end results, but take your time. Work in either small sections, or if you're like me in a controlled environment, I did the whole hood. You can extend that potentially to do the entire side if you're efficient and you're quick in what you're doing, but just take the time, ensure proper coverage. And as you saw, this is not stressful anymore because coatings are so easy to apply. So up and down, left and right, crosshatch pattern, let that sit for the 1 to 2 minutes in the case of this coating, or follow the instructions of the ceramic coating or graphene coating that you're buying. There's no difference, by the way, in the application, right? Graphene coatings, ceramic coatings, same thing, because they're ceramic based, all of them. The graphene coating is a difference. There's a bit of RGO, reduced graphene oxide, that's sprinkled in there or infused in there, but basically they perform almost identically. And so the application, yeah, just be very diligent, take your time, do it well, level the coating with the first towel, buff with your second towel, observe your work, either if you have great lighting like in my garage or have an inspection light, look at it, and now I'm seeing just pure glossy perfection, and you're gonna be smiling, right? So we're gonna do the rest of the vehicle and then come back for the end results. All right, guys, we're done applying the ceramic coating. So we did all of the paintwork, the lights, and all the plastic trim. I'm going to leave the glass for another video because we're working on something cool. But as you can tell here, we used actually a little less Hopefully you can tell on camera, a little less than half the bottle to coat this entire Forester SUV. The results are stunning. Let me show you these final results. Let me grab this camera. My dad couldn't stop smiling, and I'm appreciative because he did so much for me in my life, guys. But look at the end results. Look how glossy. Of course, we applied the Clean by Pan, the organizer tire dressing on there, but look at that. The trim is also restored and looks black. It has a jetting effect, this coating on plastic trim, so it darkens the trim. It's not a trim restore per se, so not made for super faded or oxidized, but it does kind of still give that rejuvenated look. Look at the reflection. And don't forget, this is going to get better as the days go by. This is just right after the application. So we're going to let it cure for an hour, then they can drive off in the elements. But look at that. It's a mirror effect. So this is way over 4 years old at this point. It looks brand spanking new. Look at this. Look at the reflection. You see that? Look at the glass, the frosted glass for my garage doors aiming on there. And that slickness, right? And again, this too will just get better as time goes by. So have a look at that. Absolutely stunning. The tire dressing was freshly applied, but after a few hours, it tries to a more kind of a satin effect. So that Goldilocks effect, not too glossy and not too matte looking, that nice in-between satin sheen. But look at that reflection. This is absolutely nuts. So that's the Clean by Pan, the organizer 8-year coating. In another video, we're going to show the scratches that we repaired in the lower trim on the other side using the Pan, the organizer, spray polish, and the cutting pad and the polishing pad. But what do you guys think? Drop some comments, by the way, if you've tried the 3 or the 8-year coating. All right, guys, so it's been about an hour of curing time now. So we're going to test the hydrophobic properties, and keep in mind, these are going to get even better and wilder as the days progress up to that full week of curing. So let's start on the hood here. So look at that. Super tight, super round water beads, and the shedding of the water, I mean, it just slides off. Look at that. They're like little gems. Very, very cool. I don't know about you, but this is just so nice to see. Look at that bead porn. Let's see on a vertical surface here. So let's have a look. Look at that. So this is just with this solo sprayer, battery powered. Look at that. The sliding off angle, and this is going to make trying the vehicle so quick with a dryer or a leaf blower. Look at that. Look at that. Just beads dancing. I never get bored of this. Never, ever. And this too, let's do that one more time, right? Nothing's going to stick to this. Look at that. Bubbles within bubbles. Absolutely insane. So let me pass this back to my father and come on here so we can do just a quick recap of what was done. So basically, we did the pre-wash with the foam cannon and then the wash in the bucket. The same product for both steps. So the Clean by Pan, the organizer shampoo. By the way, all of the stuff linked in the description for you guys to check them out. We did the chemical decontamination with the Clean by Pan iron remover. And we also used the Clean by Pan clay towel for the mechanical decon. We combined both steps. So that way we combined 2 steps into one. We're more efficient. We went ahead and polished the entire vehicle using the Clean by Pan blue foam polishing pad. So a 1-step pad with the Clean by Pan, the organizer spray polish. The results stunning. We removed any polish residue or oils with the panel prep spray. So IPA, solvents, and surfactants in there to pull out all those oils and have a clean and squeaky clean surface free of any residue for the coating to bond to. The star of the show, the Clean by Pan, the organizer 8-year ceramic coating. There's also the 3-year. Let me show you the box because even the packaging is insane. So I'll bring it here so you can see the difference. The 8-year is this darker color and this is the 3-year coating. So when people ask what the difference is, 100 USD for the 3-year, 150 USD for this, and these compete with coatings easily that are worth double, triple the price. These can compete with coatings that are worth $300, $400, $500. You're going to absolutely love the whole thing. You see how a little goes a long way, less than half the bottle to do an entire SUV, including the trim, the lights, and all that good stuff. You could have done the glass as well. 2 layers on the windshield, 1 hour in between coats, and on the side glass, 1 layer is fine. For the rest of the paintwork, only 1 layer is what you need. And yeah, 1 hour of curing time. If you're in the winter months though, regardless of which coating it is, if it's freezing outside, I would keep the car indoors for 12 to 24 hours. Give the coating time to cure properly on the surface. Again, regardless of which coating brand you're using. Of course, all these steps you can use regardless of which brand of coating you're using as well. The steps are always the same. You're cleaning the surface, you're decontaminating the surface, you're machine polishing to remove any previous protection. That's why we polish mainly, and also to remove scratches, imperfection, increase gloss. You're panel prepping the surface, and you're applying the coating. So those steps, they never change. They're always the same. But for the coating application, make sure to read the instructions that are included with the coating you're working with. And that way you'll have the maximum performance. Take that few minutes that it takes to read those instructions to make sure that you're in the proper conditions required by your coating brand of choice. And that way it's going to be not only easy, but it's going to make your life much more fun to apply, and you're going to see there's no stress to apply. You saw how simple this process was. We came up with a easy to use system over at Clean by Pan, the organizer. Simple products, high performance, great prices. You can have them on the House of Rags. You can get them on cleanbypan.com, and you can also get them on Amazon. So yes, you're going to get that free shipping if you have Amazon Prime kind of thing. Don't forget your applicator when you're done. The microfiber towels that you use, discard them, throw them in the garbage. They are no good no more. Don't take the risk to scratch the paint if you were to wash and reuse them. You don't want that. There's crystallization that happens. You're going to see this is going to harden a bit the following day, so it's going to become a bit crunchier. Just throw it away, and you can use whatever microfiber applicator you want right in the future. There's no problem, or whatever foam you like. Some people like foam, some people like microfiber. That's up to you to decide. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think the results speak for themselves. And in the meantime, you can watch more videos on my channel. We do in-depth reviews for all of these products. If you want to learn more about them, how to use them, see them in action, of course, individually. And we're going to come up with more stuff in the future. If you haven't done so yet, you want to continue to learn more about car detailing, all the products, equipment, tips, tricks, and techniques, make sure you click the subscribe button that's found under this video. That way you'll subscribe to my channel and never miss my future videos. In the meantime, guys, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and I'll see you on the next one.